Hi, this is John Mitchell from Arena, It Bites and indeed Frost, and you are listening to the latest It Bites album, Map of the Past. It's basically, I'm doing Arena in It Bites mainly. There is talk of doing another Frost album, but you know, that's as and when. And yeah, I mean, we've recorded 2 songs already. We're doing a show together at Christmas, It Bites and Frost, at the Scala in King's Cross, and Jen wanted to have a couple of songs to do, new songs to do when we play live. So I went down to his house and we've written a couple of new songs. We wrote them very quickly over 2 days and recorded them. So yeah, that's pretty much what's happening. Again, we're looking towards doing another It Bites album and another Arena album next year, and that's your lot. And no, we're not putting Keno back together, and no, we're not putting the Airplane back together.
So I want to be...
Yeah, it basically happened because we did the Keno album, and we didn't have enough material when we played live. We only did 1 album, so in order to make the set longer, we played a couple of Marillion songs, we played a couple of, I think 1 Urbane song, we played a couple of It Bites songs, and some Bright Spark. I think it was Bob decided after that tour that, because Pete was always kind of busy with Marillion, we didn't really have time to tour Keno properly, so we decided, you know, just to get Dick Nolan involved, and that's what became It Bites. Because basically, originally on the album was Chris Maitland, but he couldn't commit to doing it. He decided to go and do a West End show thing to earn some money. He was the guy from Porcupine originally, and I think he just wanted to, you know, to get a regular income from doing, you know, session work, which is fine. So he didn't actually ever play. He's never played live with Keno, and he kind of actually decided to knock it on the head before we even finished the album. So yeah, but I still hear from him occasionally because he's a big fan of It Bites and that's how It Bites kind of came about. We just it morphed from being Keno into It Bites.
Because you were It Bites fan back in the early years in the 80s.
Yeah, no, I was when I was about 15 or 16. I was a big fan of It Bites. You know, I'm not sure if I was just still a punter whether I'd be a fan of the It Bites with me in it, but because there's always a part of me that says just get Francis Dunnery back in. But you know, they're all very different people now. Francis Dunnery doesn't want to play that kind of music anymore. You know, he's moved on. He just likes acoustic stuff. You know.
So how would you describe the music comparing to the early days?
Oh, it's sort of the elements of, you know, very melodic, you know, it's very sort of catchy music, but just, you know, with some strange arrangements of progressive leanings. It's like progressive pop band, really, I suppose, is what how you best describe it, right? With a lot of other strange influences, there's a lot of sort of music hall influences, and there's a lot of, you know, all sorts of crazy things. There's sort of, you know, on the new album we've got like a lot of orchestral arrangements and things going on. It just, you know, the great thing about doing It Bites is you can pretty much play anything you want and get away with it, you know. Because It Bites never had they had a style in that John Mack has a very distinctive way of playing keyboards. But they changed their sort of the nature of their music from the first album even to the third album, the last album they did with Francis Dunnery. I mean, It Bites started out as basically like a sort of new wavy kind of pop band like Duran Duran, then turned into like Genesis on the second album, and then turned into sort of, I don't know, Bon Jovi on the third album. So they never really stayed in one particular musical style throughout their career, and that's sort of continued. Although we have on the last album gone a bit more proggy again. I think a lot of people liked them because they were quite progressive, you know, and they play. So I consider that sort of playing to the strengths of the band, you know. Go back in time and change events in the past to make the future better is the kind of is the notion of what the album's about. It's called, hence it's called Map of the Past, you know.
Okay, and the ideas come from you or the whole band?
Well, on this album, John, yeah, what normally happens is I'll write the basic bare bones of the song, and then John will sort of get involved with the arrangement of it, and you know, some of the other, you know, the layering of things. But you know, he's kind of a guy that's his strength. He doesn't necessarily like writing from scratch. You know, I think he takes quite a lot of time to do that. So I kind of, and I'm very impatient, and I write stuff very quickly, and he kind of wants to change everything and look at every single note. You know. Well, that's actually the thing I should have mentioned at the start. Actually, what I want to do next is I just want to do, just to humour myself and to get it out of the way. I just want to do one album's worth of stuff just completely on my own, you know, without any, you know, it's kind of, you know, being in a band is good and stuff, but I think it's difficult to have just one musical outlet, or even two, like, you know, two musical outlets. I think it's important to, I think it's a challenge to do something completely on your own as well, you know. I think that, you know, and also it's just that I find that John Beck, certainly he wakes up at about you know, midday, and we don't start working until like 2 in the afternoon. So there's all that time in the morning. I get up very early, so there's all that time in the morning when I could be doing something else. And now I've decided I'm going to use that time to do my own thing. You know, mornings my own project, and John Beck in the afternoon. You know, doing fights.
It's more than a proper job. It's 2 half-time jobs.
Well, I suppose so. You know, it depends how you know, use your time. I mean, I find that, if you think about it, really, all the time I've been doing this since I was about 23 when I first joined Arena. You know, the amount of albums I've been involved in, it's probably amounts to about, I don't know, 10 in total, and that's over the space of, was that 20 years or something? No, less than that. I'm 39 now, so you know, it's not that much for tall order, really, you know, making music. I think getting back into the mindset of a writing Arena album might have taken some time, but certainly, I mean, once you get in the swing of things, yeah, I imagine you probably did write the bare bones of the songs in a short period of time, because, you know, once you get rolling on these things, they don't take long, you know. That's the myth about it.
Because everything is in your mind?
I just think once you get inspired to do something and you put your mind to it, it just happens quickly, you know.
Okay, so so you took part in the writing?
Yeah, I did.
The musical.
I'm trying to think what particular bits and bobs. I can't remember. The way we do things at Arena is that we, you know, everybody brings a riff or an idea to the table. No one brings complete songs. That doesn't really happen. You know, there's no point bringing finished songs into an Arena writing session because it's unlikely it'll be used. The idea is to just put ideas together to make it, you know. I'm trying to think actually. Trying to think what the what if, I think, was certainly largely, you know, one of my ideas. And there's some, you know, bits and bobs elsewhere, you know. But yeah, no, like it's, you know, it's changed over the years a lot. You know, how, Contagion, I think we wrote a lot more together. I think it was just to do with time. You know, I didn't have a lot of time when the album was being written. So, you know, yeah, most of it probably is Clive, and he probably did, you know, do it in a short period of time. Because, like I say, once you get inspired to do something, then, you know, it happens quickly. The tedious thing in life is that you do end up, and I, you know, certainly in my, let's use the word lightly, career, I suppose, if you can call it that, as a musician, is that I have ended up stepping into the footsteps of, or stepping into the shoes of you know, like Francis Dunnery, and with John Wetton's band it was Dave Kilminster, and with Arena it's Keith Moore, and you know, yeah, it was quite large. He was a very good guitarist, you know, and it was quite, at the time, quite a daunting thing to do, I suppose, you know, at 23. And I actually told them I was 25 because I heard that there was the lower age limit was 25. Nobody under 25 was going to get in the band. So I pretended I was 25, and actually I was 23. So. But yeah, he was a fantastic guitar player. You know, I think they had their difficulties with him on a personal level, but. Yeah, no, I kind of, it's such a, to be honest with you, it's such a long time ago now, and I don't, you know, you know, certainly with, you know, with something like It Bites, where I'm continually being reminded of Francis Dunbury and people compare you constantly, and that's fine because he was kind of an iconic, you know, everyone thought he was It Bites, you know, because he's such a larger than life character. So you know, that certainly, I get a lot of that still. But with Keith Moore, I mean, I've played on, well, how many arena albums have I played on now? You know, far more than Keith has, and Keith Moore doesn't really get mentioned anymore. You know, it's a long distant memory. You know, because as I say, I think our most popular album we did with Arena probably was either Contagion or The Visitor. You know, both of which I played on. So, well, it sounds arrogant, doesn't it? But I'm just saying, you know. It's if there was a classic album that people had to cite, it would probably be The Visitor, and I was fortunate enough to join the band by that time, so I made my mark quite early on. No, I should do. I really don't. I'm of the opinion that, well, I can play everything I perhaps should. It just doesn't interest me anymore. You know, I'm more interested in trying to become a better singer or, you know, a better songwriter. I mean, I'm very interested in I like playing guitar, don't get me wrong, but it's just that I did all my guitar practicing, if you will, when I was about 14 or 15 years old, and I used to practice about 6 hours a day. And I got to a standard where I can happily play anything that I feel I'm required to play the music that I want to play, or that I need to play, you know. And I don't really want to, I don't know, it's not very interesting practicing. You know, I might practice before a tour, you know, to learn a song that I haven't played in a while, like in this, but I've got a very good memory for music. And you know, if I play something once, I'll remember it. Oh well, actually, funny enough, the thing that got me into playing guitar in the first place was one particular song. I remember being at my auntie's house, God rest her soul. She used to live in Clapham in London, and we used to go there every Christmas with my mum and my sister, and they had these concerts in the 80s called Prince's Trust concerts, and Eric Clapton was playing one of these concerts one year, and there he was in his shiny suit with his red Stratocaster, and then he had an album out called August, and this was in about 1986, I suppose, and there was a song there called Miss You, and it had the most amazing guitar solo. And you know, when you're a kid and you listen to something and you think, well, you know, is that when you listen to it later on, you think, you go back and listen to it like you know, you listen to it now, and you go and listen to it now, will it still be impressive, you know? And I actually put it on the other week. It was probably more impressive than when I originally had it. It's such a, it sounds like he's wrenching the hell out of the guitar. It's a song called, as I said, called Miss You, and it's just a brilliant song. And the guitar solo, the tone of it, and his style, that was me sold. You know, I went out and I bought a Marlin Slammer guitar, which was red and it looked like Eric Clapton's. It was red and white. Okay, and I kind of grew out of that pretty quickly. I remember my music teacher saying, why don't you listen to somebody in your own generation or whatever, which I thought was an extremely stupid thing to say. So Rebecca Moscardini, what an idiotic thing to say, listen to somebody of your own generation. I think, what should I listen to, Bros or maybe Wham or something, I don't know, but I listened to Eric Clapton, and I was quite obsessed about his style of guitar playing, but that lasted about 6 months, and then a fickle teenager moved on and I started listening to other stuff, all sorts of different people like Eric Johnson and Dan Huff, but my biggest influence at playing the guitar ever was Trevor Rabin out of Yes. So he was like, he was the man, And
could you repeat the
Trevor Rabin.
Ah, okay. Yeah, and yes, it's.
See, for me, I couldn't stand Steve Howe's guitar playing. I thought he was a horrible guitarist. Still is. I can't listen to it. It's horrible. I know that's probably sacrilegious, and anybody hearing me saying that would probably want to shoot me. But that's just how I feel about it. It doesn't. I think, and also Trevor Rabin is a writer and a producer, and he writes film music these days, and he plays guitar for the song. That's the most important thing about playing guitar. Don't play guitar for your own ego, play it for the song. And Steve Howe doesn't really play ever for the song. He just plays. You know, he's got this thing that he's a guitarist, and he plays over the lead vocal, and you know, you've got to sometimes take a back seat as a guitarist and go, I'm just here to fill out the wall, you know, the sonic, you know, the landscape. And I think it's not a selfless thing, but as a musician, it's a discipline, and I don't think there's, you know, because Steve Howe comes from a jazzy background, and jazz doesn't have that discipline, I suppose. You know, in my opinion, I mean, you can shoot me if you like, but Trevor Rabin was for me the guitarist in Yes. That, you know, I'm really excited that he's doing this thing with Rick Wakeman and John Anderson. It's really.
I promise you, rhetorically, I find